All right, continuing on with number 8. If I want 3 significant figures, none of those zeros in front count. You don't start counting until you get to your first number. So you can't count until you get to the 7. So if we want 3 significant figures, 1, 2, 3, here's my third number. Look to the right, so the 6 is followed by a 5. Do we keep it a 6 or do we round up to a 7? Anytime you have 5 or greater, you have to round up. So we're going to keep our zeros in front. They're just placeholders. They are not significant. Do your 7, 3, and we said we were going to round that 6 up to a 7. So that would be your final answer. I also saw some people put it in scientific notation, which is totally acceptable. So you would have 7.37 times 10 to the 1, 2. We're moving it over 3 spots, but we're moving it to the right, so that would be a -3. Question 9 is another multiplication problem where we look at how many significant figures each number that's given to us has, not what's after the decimal point. So our first one, 3.9, 2 significant figures. 5.05, 3 significant figures. Zeros in between numbers count as significant. 210, also 2 significant figures. Zeros at the end are just placeholders. So when we do our calculation, we want to get a final answer that has 2 significant figures. You always go with the lowest. So when I plug this into the calculator, we get a pretty large number. So we can see that we have more than 2 significant figures. So we're going to have to do some rounding here. So let's look at our second one, the 1. Do we want to keep it a 1 or do we want to round up to a 2? We'll look to the right, it's a 3, so it's less than 5. We'll keep it a 1. So we have 4, 1. There's our 2 significant figures. But over here we had 4,100, etc. So 41 is not anywhere close to the 4,000, so we need to add some zeros, just as our placeholders. Those zeros are not significant, but they get us into the right zone. We're in the 4,000s, not just 41. Question number 10, we're looking at how many significant figures. So 7 and 2 definitely count. The question is, do those zeros count? And in this case, they do not count. There is not a decimal point at the end. So there are 2 significant figures. If the question was a little bit different and I did add a decimal, well then you would have 4 significant figures. Now all of a sudden those zeros count. But no decimal point, zeros do not count at the end. And our bonus question, rounding to 3 significant figures. So this one's kind of similar to question number 4. So if I'm looking at 3 significant figures, we go to the third number, the 0. Because the 0 is followed by a 0, I want to keep it a 0. I don't want to round up to 1, which would make getting 3 significant figures a lot easier. But we want to keep it that 0. The only way to accomplish this is to put it in scientific notation. Because now you have a decimal point. That 0 is significant because it's following numbers after a decimal point. But don't forget about the times 10 part. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We move the decimal point over 6 places. So that would be your final answer.